I feel like, these are the kind of titles and the boxes that people are putting me in. But as far as I can remember about myself, I've always been this kind of person who likes to experiment and dabble and work on various things at one time. And if I feel like I'm able to do them in a way where I'm giving each one of them justice, then I will keep on doing them, because I feel like in the world we live in today, there's so many people that we know right now. I mean, even our president, even our prime minister, he started off being a cricketer, then he opened up a hospital, and now he is the prime minister of Pakistan. So I feel like we shouldn't limit our thinking so much, and we should just I feel like life is a journey, and we should just, in that journey, we should explore as many things as we possibly can, and we should ditch the titles and embrace the experience more. And that's what I've always been about. Again, one thing that unifies all of the different things that I do is creative expression. I'm a creative person, and artistic people always end up doing multiple things, because I feel like एक चीज़ उनके लिए रोज जो है ना, it becomes quite difficult for them to focus on, and we all have a little bit of ADD. So yes, it does get confusing for me, but then again, who I've ended up becoming right now as a person that you see today is because I have the experiences of being a DJ, I have acting experience, I have modeled, and all of these things under your belt, they make you a different kind of a person, and all of the experiences you go through, they come in handy at some point in your life as well. So I'm pretty happy with experimenting in my life, and I just feel like, we live in the age where we shouldn't put people in boxes anymore. Is it difficult? I feel like it's more challenging, and I've always been the kind of person who's been up for challenges in life. Of course, I have done lead roles as well. I did one in Zard Zamano Ka Savera. I've done positive leads, and it just depends on the script, I feel. Lekin I feel right now, when I recently read both of these scripts, I felt like there was something really special about both Roshane and Salma, because they weren't just your typical black and white negative characters. I think the fact that anyone calls it negative is up to their perception, and I really like to, when I read my characters, I don't like to place a moral judgment on the character, and that's the only way I can really find myself in that character, to find those sort of gray shades and all the layers that are in that character. Because as an actor, you're pretty much creating a different person from scratch. When you're reading a script, it's like a clean canvas, and you get to paint it with different colors and layers, and I feel like to initially just call it negative, I don't look at it like that. I feel we should leave that up to the audience's perception, and in that way, particularly, I feel like Salma is such a surprising thing for me, because even though I wasn't reading it as negative, but then I thought for sure people will be perceiving her as a negative character because she's a second wife, and all the sympathies will be towards Saba's character, which they are. But it was interesting to see the amount of satisfaction people are getting from seeing sort of that karma in action that Salma is providing in the whole story. So like I said, it's kind of unpredictable, and I like doing both the negative and positive characters. It's all about the shades that you give to it as an actor. Well, I would love to be part of a Pakistani film. I just feel right now the Pakistani film industry is going through a time where it's experimenting different things. It's sort of learning about itself, developing an identity of its own. And I think sometimes as an artist, it's much better to wait it out and to see where it goes rather than jumping the gun, because sometimes when you're seen on the big screen, and if something doesn't do well, or if your character does not resonate well with the audience, then that sort of puts a label on you pretty much for the rest of your career. So I think that right now I'm just waiting to a point where female characters are not just seen as eye candy, for the cinema, because I know the cinema goers have a little bit of a different profile than the drama viewers. And so I'm waiting for things to mature a bit, and when the right thing comes along where I really see myself shining in it, you will definitely be seeing me on the big screen. I think all web content is definitely the future. It opens up so many different avenues for people to express themselves, the kind of people that we would never see on traditional media. We're now seeing what they're thinking, what's in their mind, and I think it's a beautiful thing. It gives more control to the creator, and you really get to see what's in an individual's mind rather than a whole company or corporation or production house or whatever agenda is happening at the moment. I feel like it's so much more raw, it's so much more real, and I feel like people want to see that kind of stuff. People want to get a peek into your life, they want to see what you're doing, what you're thinking. That being said, to answer the second part of your question, whether it's easy doing it from the comfort of your own home, I think it's actually more difficult doing it from the comfort of your home, because people tend to get comfortable, and to have that sort of discipline to know that you have to create a content by a certain time and then to be able to get it edited, or whether you're editing it yourself, I feel it requires a lot more willpower and discipline. Because in traditional media, as an artist, you just have to show up and you have to do your part. But when it comes to YouTube, you have to pretty much have a little bit of know-how as far as everything goes, whether it's lighting, whether it's camera operation, whether it is script writing, speaking, editing. I mean, when you start out, I don't think anyone who starts out on YouTube has like a team of 10 people, unless it is already a traditional media company. So as an individual starting a YouTube channel, I don't think is the easiest. But then again, when you have a passion and a spark to do something, if something sparks your interest, then I feel like things do become easy. I did a lot of research and I pretty much figured out how to do everything. So it's just I feel like I was able to achieve it, but it does require a lot of willpower and discipline, I feel. DJing is something I actually started at a very, very young age in Dallas. This is when I pretty much was brought up in the US, so DJing is something that I picked up there. I always had an inclination towards music, percussions, beats, and things like that. So I started DJing, and yes, it definitely was a male-dominated sort of a thing to be a part of, but I think it was a lot of fun for me, and because I'm very passionate about music, DJing was sort of the first step I took to kind of get into music. And now I feel, as I've matured a bit, I'm thinking more on the lines of music production rather than DJing, because DJing is a lot of fun, but it was never my main thing. It was never kind of like my a full-time thing for me. It was always like a passion and a hobby on the side, but it surprisingly did so well that I ended up becoming known as the first female DJ in Pakistan, and even in Dallas at that time, I was the only female DJ. But again, kind of giving it that angle of the female DJ thing, I don't think I was ever 100% comfortable with that, because I felt that why are we labeling something a female thing? Why? I mean, when we have male chefs, you have female chefs, but you don't ever hear anyone saying, oh, she's a female chef. It's just a profession or a hobby. I feel like people were trying to cash in on the fact that I was a female, and I kind of got a little, I wouldn't say turned off, but it gave me a chance to sort of just put a pause on it and to kind of rethink that, is this the kind of thing that I want to do? I was offered a few different tracks on, like song tracks on some big films that were made in Pakistan, where I was offered to be part of a song to perform as a DJ on the song, and I wasn't ready for that, because I never saw myself as a female DJ. I just saw myself as a DJ, somebody who's into music and who really loves music. So when that female angle started coming onto it, I thought that I should just maybe rethink that whole thing again. But I still love music, and once in a while I still DJ. It is very difficult to cope with, because I think a lot of times people forget that when they are typing a comment, which is pretty easy to do actually, because you're essentially an anonymous person, we don't really know who you are, and you can pretty much type anything you feel like that's in your mind. It's easy for the people who are doing it, but for the people who are actually reading the comments, it's actually a pretty difficult thing. Yes, we do develop quite a thick skin being in this industry, because we're used to hearing all kinds of things. But that being said, it doesn't mean it doesn't affect us. It definitely affects us, and I do think that people should definitely be more careful about what comes out of their minds into the keyboards and then becomes a comment that can live there forever. And it can live forever in the minds of the people who you're commenting to. And as far as the artists are concerned that are sort of victims to this, I feel like, we shouldn't engage with it. We shouldn't engage in an argument or a debate because I feel like we're giving it more attention when we do that. But we also shouldn't be shamed into submission. Like, we shouldn't feel ashamed by who we are just because somewhere, somebody who exists has a problem with the way you are and the way you're expressing yourself. Yes, I do think social media and all of these platforms are still a relatively new thing in our society, and I think that people are not 100% used to women who are living life on their own terms, and maybe they're having a hard time accepting that. But that doesn't mean that the victims should feel ashamed or they should let it affect their mental health. And if it is, I feel like everyone should definitely address the mental health issue if it is. And it really does affect people who are reading those comments. So if you're out there listening to this, it would be nice if you could think twice about what you're commenting on anyone's photo, because we are human beings at the end of the day.